Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. We know many of you probably tuned in for the yard sale this morning, but we bumped them, unfortunately, for Mighty Mizzou with their mid-morning game. So if you are a new listener, maybe stay tuned in, because what we like to do is help people make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind. First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
The second is to create an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want to do in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage. Then, when they're done enjoying their assets, we help them pass them along to the people they love, whether it's their grandchildren, children, churches, or charities, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, we watch their money every single day. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. I forgot to introduce ourselves to all of our new listeners. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. I'm a fee-based investment advisor and wealth manager, and I'm joined this morning by Robert Marcum, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning. And shortly, we'll be joined by Jeff Lapidus, my dad, also a fee-based investment advisor, representative, and wealth manager. It's just a little early for him this morning.
It happens to us all.
Yes, it does. But there are several ways you can keep in touch with us throughout the week. You can log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a Contact Us button. You can click that and send us an email with a request for a coaching session, be it financial, medical. We are in the midst of open enrollment. This is our big reveal day for all of the new 2025 Medicare plans. So if you happen to be 65 or older, you're approaching 65, getting ready to retire, and looking at what your health insurance options are going to be in retirement, now's the time to tune in. We're going to have Frank Ellis, our Medicare coach, on with us at 8 a.m. in the next hour to go over the Aetna changes.
And there are a lot to get into, so there's definitely a Medicare segment you're going to want to tune into.
That's right, and just to give you a little preview, every week, we're going to hit one of the major insurance carriers in the area. This week, we're starting off with Aetna. We'll move into United or Anthem, Essence as well. And each week, you'll get a more in-depth update of each company. And then we'll go into some stories and talk about how people have made changes to their health care that have improved, or how we've helped them utilize the benefits that they already have. There are a few other ways you can keep in touch with us throughout the week. On that website, jblfinancial.com, in the lower left-hand side of the screen, there's a pop-up box that appears, and it says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner, and we do send that out by email every single month. So if you'd like to gain access to it, it's got a lot of great, we like to say, multi-generational information. Nothing to buy or sell there, just some things to get thinking about in terms of your retirement planning and also your wealth management.
Absolutely. And the October 2024 newsletter has some great articles. The first one being Vanishing Family Farms. There's been a decade-long period of consolidation in the U.S. agriculture industry that is pushing out small family farms. the largest 2% of farms control almost half the nation's farmland. So it's a very interesting article with a corresponding infographic there.
I think we're in a great spot in Missouri and just on the border of Illinois to still be able to work with many families that still own family farms.
We just took a ride out to see a client a couple weeks ago on a beautiful family farm in Illinois.
That's right, a true family farm, because not only does grandma live on the farm, really the matriarch of the family, but I believe that 3 or 4
goes
of
back
her
over
children
100 years.
Goes back over 100 years, and they've got family that also live on the land as well, so it's a true family farm still.
Yeah, no, I enjoy listening to the labor intensiveness of the work because, for the longest time, that's how people made their living.
That's right.
And our next article, do you know your Medicare options? I'm not going to spend too much time on this article because we're going to spend the entire second hour.
Nearly the entire second hour.
Talking about your Medicare options.
As long as you'll have us.
Right, but it seemed like such an appropriate article for October.
And I think just super quickly, it's a great article to give you an overview of when we're talking about what is Medicare Part D, Medicare Advantage, those pieces. It's going to give you a nice summary there. And the final thing is, the thing that I like the most about this article is the last section called personalized options. And it really just gets into the fact that Medicare allows you to personalize your health care coverage to meet your health care needs. And that's what we are here to help you do.
And our next article, don't have a will yet. Why not? A will is a fundamental estate planning document. It's vital to making sure that your wishes are executed properly. That said, this article explores some of the reasons that people put off drafting these important documents. And top 3, haven't gotten around to it, not the right time. And my personal favorite, the family dynamics are complex, which is a nice way of saying
don't want to start any fight. There will be blood.
Right. They might as well just go, there will be blood.
Those are great highlights, but I also really liked there's an infographic section that shows what actually motivates people to begin the process of getting either or both of these documents in place. And the top reason by nearly 50%, 43%, is medical diagnoses or health concerns. And then the second top issue is a home purchase. Now, I would just say on both of those, you don't want to wait until those moments, especially it's a health diagnosis or you have a health concern. That's the time you want to focus on that. Your family wants to be focused on that for you. It's great to have these things taken care of in advance of major events. A home purchase, usually that's a joyous occasion, right? But it can also be stressful in the sense that you got to move, you got a lot to do. Is it really the right time to also add another layer of complexity, especially if the reason that you hadn't done this in the past was one of these other reasons? Complex family dynamics, you haven't gotten around to it. You mean you're going to add something on your plate and now you'll get around to it? The
family dynamics, I feel, always be complex. If they're complex
Certainly.
Now, they don't get uncomplex with, the
passage of time.
The death of a loved one, the passage of time. And, oh, by the way, none of these estate planning documents none of the I's dotted or T's crossed. Well, now we've just added another layer of complexity to it.
Certainly, and I would say, just on a final note on this topic, when we're talking about your estate planning documents, I think the cornerstone of those documents is the will, because it's going to essentially, at this point, it comprises 2 main components. One is the durable power of attorney, and the second is your medical directive. These 2 pieces are very important regardless of family dynamics because they don't even necessarily deal with the passing of your estate directly. One, the medical directive, is your end-of-life wishes.
Right.
If you're not able to express yourself because of a medical illness or some other incapacity, then you're going to have your wishes carried out, or you're going to have a proxy who you've appointed through the will to carry those wishes out for you. And then secondarily, the durable power of attorney is going to allow a person that you've appointed to manage your estate if you are still with us, but you're not able to do that on your own any longer. Again, either for a medical condition or maybe you're having cognitive issues. Those 2 things are very important for, one, having your wishes followed through to the end, but secondly, maintaining what you'd like to pass on.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you're temporarily incapacitated, just knowing that there's someone in there to go in and, pay your bills as they're coming in, gather them, just
Certainly.
be able to do these things is very, very important. So even if you haven't decided who's getting all the family heirlooms, at the very least, you should have your medical directive and your durable power of attorney. Absolutely. And our last article, 2 tax-friendly retirement plans for the self-employed. Great article. Highlights 2 options for the self-employed, one being the solo 401k. It is a 1-participant plan for business owners who have no employees. You can sock away $23,000 pre-tax, $30,500 in catch-up contributions, and you're also eligible to contribute another 20% of your earnings for a max combined total of $69,000. And comparing that with the SEP IRA, it's very similar to a solo 401k option. This option is ideal for the self-employed who have a small number of employees. You can contribute an additional 20% of your net earnings to that plan, bringing a grand total of $69,000 in contributions. One small difference between the solo 401k and the SEP IRA: only the solo 401k is eligible to make catch-up contributions.
That's right. So that actually means that if you are a sole proprietor with no employees and you would like to either jumpstart or catch up with your retirement plan savings, you're going to be able to contribute a little more if you're over the age of 50. So you can contribute $76,500 with that catch up, versus the SEP is only that $69,000 maximum contribution. Also, SEP allows for a few extra employees. We like to throw a few articles in here about small businesses because that is those are a segment of our clients that we do work with, which is small business owners, family-owned businesses, closely held businesses. And in many cases, part of that advice is helping them select the correct retirement plan for their company and also for that business owner's needs.
Absolutely.
So we call it the Coach's Corner. You can access it by logging onto our website, jblfinancial.com. Just click in that pop-up box that appears. Give us your name, email address, and we will send that out to you every single month. Every month's a little bit different. We also keep the last year and a half archived on the website so you can peruse some old articles. If you have any questions, you're looking for a specific article, just send us an email and Rob will look back through the archives, see if we've got anything in there for you that we've touched on, or we'll make it a priority to touch on in future newsletters.
Yeah, we have the last 18 months archived, so
a lot of content.
That you could get lost in there.
Absolutely. And just so you know, we are live and local, happy to accept your phone call questions or text questions this morning, 314-931-5877, or send us a text on the text line, 84126. If you have a question about 401ks, retirement planning, estate planning, your Medicare coverage for 2025, we can get into the details now. The shackles are off. It's past October 1st. Now we can't submit any applications until October 15th. But that doesn't mean that our office isn't busy 9 nearly to 5 starting on October 1st. Just chatting with people, getting them prepared for October 15th, helping them make some decisions so we can help them with enrollment when the beginning of your opportunity to review your Medicare coverage begins.
That's going to be a lively second half of the show.
It is going to be great. So if you are tuned in specifically for Medicare, get those questions ready to go. Frank will be here to answer them and, again, give some great highlights on Aetna's upcoming changes for the year. So this morning, while we are waiting for your calls and your texts, or maybe for you to finish your first cup of coffee, because I know we had to do that on the fly. It's a little early this morning. Let's talk a little bit about catch-up contributions. Now, I thought this was a great opportunity because we're not at the end of the year yet. It's the beginning of October, so we've got October, November. We've got 3 months left.
You have to stretch run.
That's right, which really means for most people, if you're paid twice a month, got 6 paychecks or 5 paychecks, six paychecks left, maybe only 5 if you can't get into HR for the October 15th paycheck that's just around the corner. But we do have some opportunities, some things that you might want to think about for the last 6 paychecks of the year. Maybe if you're over the age of 50, it's time to start utilizing that catch-up contribution.
Absolutely. If you are age 50 or older and making contributions to an IRA, a simple IRA, or a company-sponsored retirement plan, you are eligible to make an additional contribution on a pre-tax basis today.
However, that's going to change, right?
The Secure Act continues to permit these contributions, but with a few wrinkles that need to be ironed out by the IRS. The first one being, if your wages are $145,000 or more, your catch-up contributions will have to go as Roth contributions starting in 2026.
And what does that really mean?
Means you're paying taxes.
So the catch-up contribution was a fabulous addition to the tax code that allows individuals over the age of 50 that are theoretically approaching retirement because you're 12 years out from being able to collect Social Security early at 62 years old, giving those individuals that are in the home stretch, so to speak, an opportunity to contribute additional money on a pre-tax basis. But what the Secure Act has done for individuals that are higher income earners, that threshold's $145,000, those catch-up contributions are no longer going to be pre-tax. Now, you will have the opportunity to put them in a Roth, but that's an after-tax contribution versus what most people have become accustomed to in the pre-tax environment.
They've taken away your deduction.
It's another way that they have, in fact, taken away the deduction. So that's a pretty big deal.
It is. This change does not apply to simple IRAs or traditional IRA plans. So when we think about this, what's the big deal? Client is 63 years old, plans to work for 3 more years. They are participating in a 401k plan and will be eligible to make $10,000 catch-up contributions in 2026. If that contribution is directed towards a Roth account after tax, should they make it?
So there are a lot of great benefits to Roth 401ks, Roth IRAs, one of which is that interest. So the contribution is going to accumulate interest and earnings on a tax-deferred basis. As long as, now in a 401k, the cool thing is when you retire, so when you are no longer a participant, be able to take that money if you want and receive it to your name, not have to pay taxes on it. So you can make a direct you can directly receive those funds. You don't have to transfer them into a Roth if you'd like. The other interesting thing is if you retire and you roll those funds from your Roth 401k into a Roth IRA, it's going to continue to grow income tax deferred. And when you meet the 2 requirements, being 59.5 and have held it for 5 years, you get it all tax free.
Another great benefit of the Roth accounts is they're not subject to RMD rules. So it can continue to grow and grow and grow and be that extra liquidity bucket that you need for any kind of expense that should come up. You know, you have that liquidity bucket that you can grab tax free, and you can leave that on. It can continue to grow and grow. It could be left to beneficiaries. You're not forced into an RMD situation where you're having to take small amounts from it. So it really can run and grow and be left to who you want to, unperturbed.
Or it can continue to grow, and then you can use it for, we like to call them capital consumption events, or
your last new car,
home remodel, big vacation. It can help you moderate your tax bracket over a long period of time, because when you pull those funds, having met both of those requirements we talked about, you're not going to pay taxes on that money. So it is a nice opportunity. But, you know, Rob, we were talking about this a little before the show when we were preparing.
We were talking about this last night.
Okay.
We eat, sleep, and breathe this. And we came up with an idea. What would be a scenario where you wouldn't want to contribute to the Roth?
Right. So you, unfortunately, you're a high-income earner. You're earning over $145,000 a year. And now, a year from now in 2026, you're going to be in the position where you don't get to make those contributions pre-tax any longer for the catch-up. So you don't get to save the taxes. What would a reason be that you don't just say, well, I wasn't bringing the money home anyways. I've been putting it in the Roth. I've been putting it in the 401k this entire time. why might you decide now's the opportunity for me to maybe start, or the math has changed a little, now's the opportunity for me to bring this money home?
If you had an obligation that you needed to satisfy, where that $10,000 a year could put you on a glide path to satisfy that debt, if by not being given credit for the deduction, it could keep you from going into a higher tax bracket, that would be a reason to perhaps not do it.
Oh, right. Well, but you might as well take it if you were using the catch-up to help you keep you in a lower tax bracket,
right.
And now that's not going to, unfortunately, this money's going to be taxed, and now you know it's locked up because either it's going to be locked up until you retire to take the money out, or it's going to be locked up for even longer because you got to wait the 5 years for the time period on the Roth to tick away. And like you said, you've got some obligations to meet, or maybe you don't have a lot of liquidity and you would like to add to your at-home after-tax savings. Maybe we don't lock the money into the Roth and say we're not getting the deduction no matter what we do with it, so let's bring it home, put it in the savings account, or use it to pay down a debt as a goal that we've got a few more years to go before retirement. Maybe we're liquidating a debt faster than we planned because the tax deduction is not available any longer.
All wonderful war games we love to play on a nice whiteboard. That's why when we play, as Jeff likes to say, this is your life, you can see where all these moving parts are, and you can get a better view of the battle space and decide, well, where do you want to allocate resources? Where does it make the most sense?
I think that's a great point when people come in for coaching sessions or reviews, which we also call coaching sessions. We're using their numbers. So when you come in and chat with us about your retirement goals, we're going to put your numbers up on the board. We'll use your tax brackets. We'll figure out in 2026, does it make sense to use the catch-up contribution in the Roth and start creating some tax-free potential growth in your portfolio, or does it make sense that it's time to start liquidating some of the debts you've been carrying?
It's just another case with the Secure Act 2.0 has forced us to have conversations in maybe a slightly different way because of the nuances of the law, which is great because, like Jeff says, it's a war game.
Right, and this is just a new addition to the rule book, and they give it to you every time they make those changes. So if we can incorporate them into your game plan, we can use them to your advantage. We've got 2 quick text questions I think we can hit, and then let's take our first break of the hour.
How does Medicare interact with VA benefits? Thanks.
So we are not experts in the VA benefits themselves. However, because we do work on the Medicare side of things, what I can say is that if you have VA benefits all the way up to TRICARE benefits, you are able to utilize a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan to continue to enhance your health care in retirement. Or after the age of 65. So VA benefits straight VA benefits are not considered comprehensive coverage. So you do want to chat with someone like Frank, enroll in Medicare Parts A and B, and take a look at what your options are to enhance those VA benefits. Now, TRICARE for Life is considered comprehensive coverage. You don't have to add a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplement. However, using the Medicare Advantage plan for some of the extra benefits that we often talk about on the radio, the dental, the vision, the hearing, you're going to be able to add all of those at no extra charge to you. You're also going to open up your physician network to VA physicians, but also the network that you've access through whichever Medicare Advantage plan you've chosen. So it's going to give you more options.
Get the best of both worlds.
Get the best of both worlds. It's not going to turn off your VA or TRICARE benefits. It's just going to supplement them, so to speak. So if you're someone that's utilizing some additional government coverage, you might want to look at those Medicare Advantage plans and see if you can add some dental, a gym membership, vision, over-the-counter benefits, hearing benefits, which would be the hearing aids, at no extra charge to you.
Absolutely. Our next texter writes, I have a will, and I was wondering, does it need to be notarized?
So, no, it does not need to be notarized. However, it is a good idea of it notarized because it will make the reading of the will simpler. It will also make if anyone is contesting what is inside of the will, it will also make that a little easier to be defended if you have had your signature notarized. So we do recommend that you do that. Usually your local bank will have a notary public in the bank that you can access, or if you happen to be one of our client service manager is a notary, and we do offer those services to our financial clients. Even if it's a document we haven't produced, we're happy to have you in the office, take a look at your driver's license, watch you sign, and then notarize it for you.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we should take our first break of the hour, so don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
The opinions you hear on KTRS are those of the host, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or owners. If you have comments or suggestions, contact us at ktrs.com. Thanks for listening.
Progressive presents 10 things on a food truck owner's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Stocking the fridge, prepping the stations, finding employees that get along well, finding employees that actually do their job. Looking at you, Gary. Balancing the books, balancing the flavors, having a fresh menu and fresh produce and fresh meat, but never a fresh mouth. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
The storms are back, the wind, the hail, the damage to the roof, and when the roof gets damaged, who do you call? You call John Bill Roofing. But the storms are back. You know who else follows the storms? The storm chasers. These are the teams of people who come and leave a note on your door, mailbox, maybe your windshield wiper, and they tell you to call, and you think you're getting a deal. You give them half the money, and you never see them again. With John Bill Roofing, they've been in this business for a long time right here in St. Louis. They live, work, and play, and they guarantee you to give you the best price on your roof. When the roof gets damaged, your first phone call is to John Bill Roofing, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, or johnbillroofing.com. Roofing, siding, gutters, John Bill Roofing, residential, commercial, industrial, a company you can trust, a company that lives, works, and plays right here in St. Louis. Make it local. Make it John Bill or johnbillroofing.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at Erin@JBLFinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
So welcome back to the show at 7:33 here on Big 550 KTRS, Talk Radio St. Louis. We're here to answer your questions as well as text to 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the hopefully heating up very quickly text
People
line.
are waking up. The sun has risen. Welcome to the show, Dad.
Yeah.
Was it a jaunt across the parking lot?
Were you hoofing it?
No.
You're just sauntering?
No. It was 6:27.
When you fell asleep?
Yeah.
You said, I'll just rest my eyes for a moment.
Right.
A short time later.
Your mom didn't wake me up. The dog didn't wake me up. And
For the first time ever?
Right. Well, yeah, it's the first
For
time.
the one time you needed?
Uh-huh.
Well, better late than never.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys were here because it's the first time in 18 years that I haven't been on time. So.
Not by that significant of an amount.
Got to play the lottery tonight.
That's right. So we like to say to all of our listeners, wake up, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. Just as a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you, our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire or are already retired. And we do create a game plan for them so they have a fun and hopefully successful and worry-free retirement. But let's talk a little bit about a coaching session that we had about a week ago. And this was with John. He's 58 years old, not retired, happily encumbered, i.e. married. And his mom recently passed away, and she was 81 at the time. Part of his inheritance was a IRA account of about $150,000. And he had a bunch of questions, as everybody does on this. And fortunately, he came to the right place. So why don't we tackle some of these, shall we?
Absolutely. He wanted to know what his options were and what he could do with his mom's IRA. And unfortunately, because it's not his spouse, he cannot combine that with his IRA account. So the first step would be setting up an inherited IRA account. They call it a beneficiary IRA. Now, since Mom was receiving her required minimum distributions from that account, in addition to inheriting her IRA account, you're also inheriting her RMD distribution schedule. In addition to that, you have 10 years to liquidate the account. All the money has to be out by the 10th year.
And all these, unfortunately, were some changes that were made due to the Secure Act.
Right. So again, we spent a little bit of time talking about how contribution changes are going to occur in 2026. These changes have already taken place with the Secure Act as of a few years at this point now, where the stretch option that non-spousal beneficiaries used to have when inheriting IRAs has been taken away. Unless you're under the age of 18, up until you reach that age, then you're on the same schedule as everyone else. Rob makes a great point, which is the first question most people ask when they inherit an IRA is, can't I just dump it into mine? And unfortunately, the IRS considers beneficiary IRAs or inherited IRAs as undistributed assets of the individual you inherited them from. So even though your name is added to the title, you're not actually, in the IRS's eyes, you're not actually the owner. So it's going to have different distribution requirements that Rob talked about, having that liquidated within 10 years, and also inheriting an RMD schedule that isn't your own if the individual you inherited it from.
And you know, the IRS has been waiving that requirement for the last couple of years, but it's not something we generally recommend doing because you don't want to end up at the 10th year with you haven't really been emptying it out, at least on a minimum required minimum distribution basis, and then you get to this big balloon payment that you have to take out, and that could be very, very costly.
Great point. So the last 2 years, not this year yet, the IRS has said if you inherited an IRA, so you own a beneficiary IRA, you were not required to take the minimum distribution if that person, like John's mom, was already taking the RMDs. They waived the requirement. However,
I don't know how much of a favor they're really doing you because you still have to have it emptied out by the 10th year.
Right. So using John's example, using the example that we have with John of $150,000, that's $15,000 a year if we're going to be completely consistent. If you skip 2 years, that's okay, but now in 8 years you have to liquidate the same exact amount. They didn't change that requirement. So it is important to, just because you've been given the pass, maybe we don't take the pass, or you don't take the full pass, meaning we can set a different dollar amount based on your particular situation. But let's move on. John had a lot of questions, but we
always have a lot of questions. And our first one to John was, are you contributing the maximum to your 401k plan? And in John's case, being that he's on the right side, as I like to say, of 50, he's eligible to make up to $30,500 in a tax-deferred contribution into his retirement savings plan.
All right. So the next question we asked was, do you currently have a balance on your mortgage?
And what is that balance?
Great. And then we had a couple of additional questions, but let's get into why are we asking John these questions?
Well, because if he isn't contributing the maximum to his retirement plan, maybe now is the time, being that he has the beneficiary IRA, to do so.
How much was John contributing to his 401k plan?
He was going to the maximum of his employers, which was, I believe, 5%.
Okay, so he was only making a 5% contribution so far of the $30,500 that he could.
Exactly.
Okay, so
let's just assume John was earns $100,000 a year. If he's putting in 5%, that's basically $5,000. So he really has about $25,500.
Whoa, he's got some room.
Got a lot of room.
Yeah, I mean and so essentially,
what
John could do, right, is he could make distributions equal to what his increased contributions would be to his 401k plan. So he reduces his pay on the one side to increase the 401k contributions. He then takes those distributions from the IRA, and he lives off them. He uses that money as after-tax money, and so what you've essentially done is transferred your beneficiary IRA or her IRA into your 401k.
And we can do that at $25,000 annual increments, essentially, because he was already making the $5,000. Now we can add another $25,000 to that to get him to the maximum contribution with the catch-up. But we'll still have a little bit of excess to take by the 10th year. 25,000 times. Oh, you're right. It's early. He'll empty that faster.
Well, the beauty again here is that we've washed out the income taxes every single year in that particular case, which is kind of cool. Now, we assume John made 100. If John made more than 100, well, then we have a different issue. Or more than 140, we then bump into what we were discussing. You guys were discussing just a little earlier. So he would be forced to either just take that money home,
right,
or do a Roth.
Which means now mom's he did a conversion almost, backdoor in a way, of taking mom's IRA, being able to live off of it, paying a little bit in taxes, but then also being able to create a Roth where he wasn't able to do Roth contributions because of his income previously, but now he can add that 401k option.
Yeah, so let's just think about this again. Let's just use the let's use the 140 of income.
Okay.
5% would be approximately $7,000.
Okay.
So we know that over a 10-year period, he basically has to pull on, if you say average, $15,000. So if we do that, 7 from 23, in theory, we could still get it all in under, and he wouldn't actually have to do a Roth.
So he's got a lot of options.
Yeah, lots of options here. Again, I think for us, what's really important is the whole concept here is how can we most tax efficiently move money from this inherited account, which is, again, it's really, the IRS doesn't really consider it your account because that's why your name, as well as in this case, mom's name was on it, the other person's name was on it. How can we most effectively move this into your side of the ledger?
Right, and also how do we do it in a way that is tax efficient so you get to keep the inheritance versus having to pay in taxes to the federal government. Sure. But then also, how do we most effectively incorporate this money into your game plan? How does this $150,000 get us closer to, John is still at work and so is his wife, you mentioned. Is that an opportunity to retire one of them faster? How do we get there? What if
the mortgage, like we talked about, what if
John was already maxing out his 401k contributions before he even received this inheritance?
Well, in this case, what we could do is, again, we know that he has a $100,000 mortgage.
Right.
What we would probably do is we would look at his current income, see where he falls
in that bracket.
In terms of the bracket, try to obviously pull out minimum amount that we could,
or the most we could stay inside the bracket.
Exactly, and then also be wary of the fact that most likely there's going to be growth because we are going to stay invested over a 10-year period, and also have to deal with the fact that we're not going to have a big lump sum distribution in year 10. let's try to maximize that over that 10-year period. And so we'd able to hopefully reduce or maybe eliminate this mortgage.
In addition to that, if he has an emergency fund, is he happy with the level that is currently in there? And if he doesn't have one, this is a good place to begin to start that journey.
And then the last thing I was going to say, you mentioned that John is married and that his wife is still working. If John was maxing out his 401k contributions, that still leaves the opportunity, if his wife has access to a 401k plan or a simple IRA or something along those lines, or another pre-tax vehicle for his wife to contribute to, John can still take those distributions, him and his wife can live off of them, and they can increase the contributions to his wife's retirement plan.
Exactly. So lots of options, and again, everyone's situation is a little bit different. John's married, John's single, John's divorced.
Right. What is he earning? What is he contributing? How much did you inherit it in what form? You know, the nice thing is not every inheritable asset is taxable the same way the traditional IRAs are.
Exactly. So I think that was a pretty fun discussion with John.
That's right, because we really were able to achieve his question, which is, can I combine my 401k with my mom's IRA? Not directly, but indirectly we can make it happen for you.
Exactly. And so our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We're going to take our second break of the hour, so don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
The seasons are changing, so it's time to schedule a maintenance check with Viviano. The technicians offer a comprehensive inspection of your equipment to identify and address potential issues. So what are you waiting for? Call them today. Enjoy peace of mind and premium home comfort today. Call Viviano Heating and Air at 618-345-749 or go to the website. Great place to start. Online at VivianoAir.com. That's VivianoAir.com. Train, the most reliable name in heating or cooling around. It's hard to stop a train.
Elevate your home with stunning lighting from Metro Lighting.
Shopping for a gorgeous chandelier for your dining room?
Need a new table lamp?
Or lighting your entire dream home?
Our certified lighting specialists are here to help.
Locally owned with 6 convenient locations.
An amazing selection of lighting for any style and budget.
And all at the guaranteed best price.
And did you know?
Metro Lighting is a great source for furniture, art, and home decor too.
Metro Lighting.
Full of bright ideas for your home.
The Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill invites you to come in and enjoy phenomenal food, drinks, and service. Try the incredible tender mouth-watering steak sandwich, the best Reuben egg rolls in town, or their fried pretzel sticks with Guinness beer cheese sauce. Daily drink and beer specials, adult trivia Mondays, music bingo on Tuesdays, NFL Sunday ticket, and the MLS package on one of their 8 TVs or their 150-inch big screen. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 1-ish a.m. 21 and older after 6 p.m. The Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill, 1250 Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Check them out online at theirishgypsybar.com.
Looking for a newly renovated fitness and recreational facility? Look no further than the Timbers of Eureka. Having just finished renovations, the Timbers is the perfect destination for those looking to begin or improve their fitness journey. Enjoy a fitness area with all new strength equipment, a new room dedicated to cardio, a cycling room, renovated locker rooms with saunas, and much more. We've got a little bit of everything from tot care to senior groups and in between. Fitness classes are offered daily and vary from deep stretch to boot camp. Everyone is welcome at the Timbers of Eureka. Call 636-938-6775 for more information on how to join the Timbers today.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
We're back at 7:49. We're in our last segment of hour number 1. Here on the Big 550 KTRS, we've got about 10 minutes left. We're waiting for your phone calls. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877. Please, we don't want Eric falling asleep in the booth like me. Or 84126 from the text line.
And that means just 16 minutes before the Medicare segment.
We love to hear that.
No, they're excited out there.
That's right. Countdown begins.
So let's. I was going to say, let's take a couple of minutes and let's go to our mailbag because we do receive questions all the time.
That's right,
and especially coming through our website from the Contact Us section, right?
That's right. JBLFinancial.com. Just hit the Contact Us button. You can ask a question, request a coaching session. Many people already have, and so let's hit a few of those.
And our texter writes: is there a charge for a coaching session? How do your clients pay for your services?
Okay.
This is a timely question.
Is there a charge? Yes. Blueberries.
Blueberries.
Sometimes Oreos.
That's for our clients that just love you so much they want to
And that's
bring
not really
you
a charge.
treat.
That's like a love charge.
Or
Okay.
Girl Scout cookies.
Right.
One of our clients brought a whole case of Girl Scout cookies in, and he always brings the new flavor. Like, whatever the new flavor happens to be.
But in general, there is no charge for a coaching session. We never charge for we don't have a separate financial planning fee.
That's right. All of our services. And what I like to say is you're welcome to take us up on all of our services. It doesn't change the fee, which is 1% annually for the money that we manage. It's debited from your account at 0.25% per quarter. And that 0.25% is based on the account value of the last day of the previous quarter. So we like to say that your results really track our the fees that we collect, because over the course of the year, that 0.25% is going to fluctuate based on account value.
And there are many advisors, and again, this is something that generally is under their discretion, that have different fee schedules based on the size of assets. For us, it's different. We charge all of our clients the same percentage, 1%. Doesn't matter how many zeros they have.
That's right, and
we like more.
And
let's be honest, we like more.
And you like more too. Everybody wants more.
Exactly.
And you've been in the business now for decades. How many times have you raised that?
Never.
It's always been not impacted by inflation.
It's always been 0.25% per quarter, and so.
And what is that really inclusive of? Not just our investment advisory services.
So let's be. It includes obviously coaching sessions that we do with folks before they become clients. Coaching sessions, quarterly, semi-annual, annual reviews afterwards.
So all of your visits with us, if we give you a call, which we are proactive with our clients and call quarterly to visit with them. Or if you call and have an issue, or you're planning to retire, you just want to chat, you saw something, you want to talk about it, all of that's included.
Yeah, we're on the payroll, as I've always liked to say, so every single day of the year, once you hire us. And so
and we'd love
to hear from you.
And we've really added some additional services, which is we're happy to chat with children and grandchildren of our clients. Most of the time that is not an opportunity for us to set up accounts for them, but it's really to talk about, maybe their first job or their second job. How much do I contribute? Maybe what health plan do I select? Do my 401k allocations match my current risk tolerance? How do we liquidate debt, or what's the best way to purchase something if they're looking at a new house, or maybe financing
or the best
school.
Way to pay down some debts?
Exactly, or maybe they're financing school for their child. Lots of different things. We're here to help the family, because we like to say if the kids are financially successful, that usually creates a much more financially successful retirement for their parents.
Yes, and I was going to say the most fun, at least for me, the most fun discussion that we're having with parents and children, their children in many cases together, is the you don't get all the money discussion. And what we're talking about is the Secure Act and how it has affected
the taxes.
Exactly, because of IRA distributions, and how including grandchildren if they have them, or great-grandchildren if they have them, as a part of their IRA beneficiary strategy. Makes sense.
That's right, because this legislation really was one of the most significant changes to the tax code in recent history that really went relatively undiscussed. In the past, if you inherited an IRA from someone that was not your spouse, you could stretch those distributions out based on your age. So if you inherited an IRA in your 40s or 50s,
you're probably withdrawing maybe 2%.
2-3%. that number, we can get very much more specific based on the IRS tables, but it's going to be less than the 4 when you're 73. Now, when you inherit that IRA, you're forced to liquidate over 10 years. We used $150,000 as an example because for many of our clients that were in John's age group, that 58 and above, their parents did not accumulate the same amount of wealth that you have accumulated.
Well, they didn't have the time.
Right. They didn't have access to pensions. 401ks didn't, or they had access to pensions. 401ks didn't exist. Now, the people retiring now, so that 55 and over group, and really for the last 15 to 20 years at this point, are retiring with significantly more assets, maintaining those assets in their retirement, and then passing large IRA accounts, sometimes $1 million or more, on to their children. It's fabulous. What would $1 million have done for you in your early 60s? But that $1 million is going to be decreased by at least 30% potentially if you just do the vanilla, we're going to pass this on to the kids in taxes.
Staying within a prudent 4% rate of withdrawal, it's not unreasonable that a lot of these IRA assets will double. So if you have $1 million today and you're retiring, it's not unreasonable to think that that might be 1.7, 1.8, maybe even 2 point something by the time you
right, because that's
depart.
Just 20 years, and many people are going to be retired for even longer than that.
Could be retired for longer than you worked.
And we have a great, I think, dovetail question from the text line.
And our texter writes, so do you work with clients or maybe a new client as a team when starting out as you do on the show, or only when needed?
So we always work as a team. You may only meet with one of us. Usually new and prospective clients meet with Rob and I. Dad takes quite a bit of the reviews and I'll call them specialty meetings. But we review each client file as a group to, one, we think 3 heads are always better than one. But secondly, so we can continue to provide consistent service to all of our clients. You don't feel like you're calling a telemarketer and you have to repeat your story again to any of us. We all have taken notes, had conversations, given our opinions, and come up with a game plan and strategy together. And also each of us has a slightly different expertise, and one of us has some significant longevity. So I think the 3 of us working together creates excellent outcomes for our clients. And if you ever decide you're someone that you'd like to meet the whole team together, we can make that happen for you too.
Well, and I would also add to that is that as Erin does all the new meetings, which is kind of fun. I'm not doing those anymore unless needed. The cool part is that if you do become a client, which most of the folks that come in and visit with us do, because they're basically already ready. They just want to make sure that we're okay. We have good coffee, free parking.
That we're just as entertaining as
exactly.
person as we are on the radio.
What happens is during their review sessions, Erin and I we alternate.
Right.
So what happens? You'll see her a few times, and then typically you'll see me. Then you'll see her, etc. And even though you like her better, you're stuck with me every once in a while.
But we're maintaining consistency so that way you will feel continuity of service regardless of who you are chatting with.
And our next texter writes, are all coaching sessions in person, or do you offer telephone and or Zoom meetings?
I love when the listeners get into a groove with what other texters have already sent in. We offer coaching sessions in whatever way is convenient for you. We'd love to see you in the office. We love having you in the office, but if a phone appointment or a Zoom appointment is more convenient or easier for you, then we are happy to accommodate, because the most important thing is that we're chatting with you at least once or twice a year. We really do offer more than that, but we want to stay on track with you, and the best way to do that is to have ongoing conversations, and we're happy to do that in a way that makes you comfortable.
It's interesting because as our listeners know, especially our longtime listeners and those folks that are clients, I started offering Skype appointments over 10 years ago.
You were offering Skype appointments so long ago that you had to get special approval from compliance to pass out webcams. If you could imagine that, everyone.
Yeah, so I was kind of ahead of the compliance.
If you could imagine having external webcams anymore.
I was curious because then I learned about this, about Skype, et cetera, from one of my clients who had children that were overseas. And that's how they talked. And I thought, man, this is smart. So we started offering.
Pre-COVID, guys. Pre-embedded webcam.
We're talking
always
about 2000.
Forefront of technology.
Exactly. And so do us a favor. Don't touch that dial. The Medicare Hour, as we like to call it, up right after these messages.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. Hour number 2. We have Frankie Ellis, our Medicare coach, in the house this morning for the day that most of you have all been waiting for. We can actually talk about the 2025 plans now.
That's right. And good morning, listeners. It is that time of the year. It is my favorite time of the year, where things are up and grooving. Things are changing. People are calling. People are coming in. People are emailing. Asking questions. What is my plan doing next year? What's going on with my plan? Do I need to change my plan? Do I need to pick up a different prescription drug plan? So
I tried to read this thing they mailed me. I'm confused.
That's right. That's right. What is this? It looks like something's missing in my plan. So we are here to answer all of those questions for you. And we finally get to talk about it. Now, I've been holding this in. It's been
months.
Quite hard for me because I've been the one holding this in for months, ready to give you guys all of this valuable information. So today we're going to talk about open enrollment and specifically a plan that is one of the most popular plans, I would say, nationwide, but especially in the St. Louis area, and that's the Aetna Gold plan.
So this is that HMO. Had a lot of changes last year, going to have a lot of changes this year.
That's right. And changes don't only come from the insurance company themselves. Changes actually come with Medicare, and the insurance companies have to adjust to what Medicare tells them that they need to do. And so every week during open enrollment, we're going to take a look at specific plans, give you guys specific details. We're going to be looking at both positives and negatives of these plans. How they're going to help you, how they're going to help you save money, and how this is going to affect you all in the long run. So with that being said, let's get into Leanne.
Let's get into it.
All right. So Leanne, she was coming into the office. She wanted to just get a head start on things. So she scheduled an early review. So for folks that have been on Medicare maybe for several years, they probably know open enrollment starts October 15th through December 7th, but you can get an early start by coming in on October 1st.
So you can chat about the new plans on October 1st. You can do the comparison between, for example, what Leanne's on, what she might switch to, if there's a better option. But you can't write the application until October 15th.
That's right.
So for all those people in that 14-day window, maybe you've made the decision while you're sitting with Frank, but he's going to wait until October 15th to either electronically send that to you or mail it out and have it mailed back to the office.
That's right. And this is, for folks that they want to look at the plans, make the comparisons, go home, do their due diligence.
Maybe think about it a little bit.
And then let me know October 15th, but before December 7th.
All right. So tell us about your chat with Leanne.
So Leanne came in with her Medicare Advantage plan, of course, the plan that I had mentioned earlier, the Aetna Gold HMO. And she wanted to talk about changes that she noticed when she received her ANOC, her annual notice of change, in the mail. So most people should be getting or have received by now their annual notice of change. And all this is just a document showing you a comparison between your plan for 2024 and what the changes are for 2025. So when you're looking at your ANOC, you may notice things like, your maximum out of pocket had gone up, or your dental may have gone up or down. So Leanne got her annual notice of change, and one thing that she noticed right away about her plan was that there were a couple of benefits that looked like they were not added to the 2025 plan. So for weeks and weeks for 2024, we've talked about several times on the radio show the fitness allowance.
Oh, no.
So the fitness allowance, great, absolutely great benefit. First time that it's ever been done and attempted was 2024 with Aetna. No other insurance company attempted this, but this specific benefit allowed folks to get, things like at the beginning of the year, tennis shoes, kayaks, bikes, and then Medicare kind of dwindled down the list a little bit and said, okay, we're going to kind of refine it to where you can get home gym equipment, tracking devices, no longer tennis shoes, things like that. So they did have to make an adjustment in the middle of the year, but she noticed for 25 that it was off of the plan completely. Another thing that we've talked about several times during the year is the copay card with the plan.
Right.
So that was a feature that you go to the doctor, you go to the hospital. Aetna gave you a preloaded flex card. I believe it was a MasterCard, and it had $200 on it every quarter. You could swipe that card, you get an MRI or something, you pay $100, you just swipe that card, and that's how you pay for it.
And that copay went against your maximum amount of pocket, but you actually didn't take any money out of your pocket to pay for it.
That is exactly correct.
Got ya. Okay.
So those were the two benefits that she noticed that were not on her annual notice of changes for the year, the fitness card and the copay allowance. So she also discovered some other changes. Dental, she saw that dental went down from $3,250 for 2024 to now $2,000 for 2025. And the over-the-counter went down from $120 a quarter to $60 a quarter.
Okay.
So just like a lot of folks, when you see something like that, you become curious. Is there another plan out there that's going to suit me better for 2025? And that's exactly what Leanne asked.
Sure.
So when we're looking at the Medicare Advantage plans, one thing that we have to remember is that we're selecting a health plan. We're not selecting an extra benefits plan.
Great point.
Meaning we're not going to set you up on a plan just based solely off of where you can go to the gym,
how much you get in dental,
vision,
over-the-counter benefits.
Those over-the-counter benefits. So those are all great extra benefits that allow people to save money throughout the year.
It enhances your plan. It can enhance the experience that you have on the plan, but those are peripheral benefits. They are important in the sense that we want to make sure that if you're someone that needs extra dental, that's a factor that we consider, but it's not the primary factor.
That's right. What has to make sense over everything is the health portion of the plan. So when we're looking at these plans, I select plans based off of the plan's core benefits, and this has been true always. While those extra benefits are absolutely fantastic, we're still selecting a health care plan off of the core benefits of the plan.
And describe to everyone what you consider to be the core benefits of a plan.
Absolutely. So the core benefits of the plan, the first thing that I would say would be on a Medicare Advantage plan, you're not paying anything monthly. So you have no monthly premium. You're making copays towards what we call your maximum out of pocket. So how much they can bill you from January to December, because we know these plans run on a calendar year. So your potential output, so your maximum out of pocket, would be one of the most significant core benefits under the plan.
So what's your maximum liability for the year? And then let's take it one step further. How do you get there? What are the co-pays for each service? What is the co-insurance? What is covered and how much?
That's right. And that leads us to the second core benefit. And you said it. What are your co-pays? Are your co-pays affordable? Are you going to the doctor and the doctor is just, prescribing you some sort of lotion for eczema and your copay is $1,000? Or are you going to the doctor and your doctor prescribes you that same eczema and your copay is $20? So are these copays affordable? And what's your maximum out of pocket?
Okay.
The third thing that I would say is going to be a core benefit is prescription drug coverage. Now, this one is especially true because oftentimes we are selecting these plans based off of, is this insurance company covering my prescription costs the best?
Got you.
Okay, so we're not going to pair you with a plan if let's say X insurance company is covering your 5 prescriptions at $0 and Y insurance company is covering your prescription costs, but you're going to have to pay $1,000 at the pharmacy
Does it really make sense to get the $1,000 of extra dental? Probably not.
Exactly. We would be looking at the one covering your health care plan, the better. Or the best.
That's a great way to put it. And I would also say that we kind of skipped over the doctor network and are the prescriptions even on the formulary. And the reason for that is everyone that comes in to see us, if you're a current client or maybe you're a prospective client because you're listening to us talk about these changes and you want to chat with Frank about them, you're going to fill out a medical questionnaire for us that's very brief. Just who are your physicians? What are your prescriptions? Frank's going to have that in advance of your appointment, and he'll be able to say, well, these are the options. This is X company. This is Y company. And then get into, well, we know the dental's higher on Y, but we also know for a fact you will pay at least $1,000 more on the prescriptions for the course of the year. Clearly, the other plan makes a little bit more sense.
Absolutely. And that actually is a great point because that brings up another core benefit that I think is important in these plans, and that is, are my doctors going to be in the network? And what are these networks doing? Are they collapsing, or are they expanding? Are they reaching out to different markets, or are we just looking at a plan that's here in the St. Louis market?
Got you.
So all of those are what I call the core benefits: your maximum out of pocket, your co-pays, your doctors, and your prescriptions of the plan. So that's exactly what Aetna was focused on for 2025.
Maintaining those core benefits.
With all of the changes in Medicare, how are we going to keep our clients less liable? So the least amount of maximum out of pocket for the year, the most affordable co-pays that we could possibly do, and that was specifically Aetna's approach. Let's continue to broaden our networks and add doctors. Let's continue to have a strong drug formulary. Let's continue to have a competitive max out of pocket, one of the lowest max out of pockets in the market.
Across the board.
Across the board, absolutely. And so, since most of us have heard, and I want to just get into this briefly, but because I know we've spent time on this, but since most of us have heard about no donut hole next year.
No donut hole.
That's right. For 2025, no more donut hole. Okay. So that means that due to the Inflation Reduction Act, the government, back in 2020, they set this plan, and now it's finally coming into effect for 2025, that there is a hard stoppage on your medication costs for next year.
So you have to be enrolled in a prescription drug plan, either through Medicare Advantage or through a standalone prescription drug plan because you have elected a supplement to couple with your Medicare coverage. You have to be enrolled in one of those policies to get access to the Medicare cap that they have created on $2,000 on your prescriptions at $2,000 a year.
That's right. So another point of that is going to be the prescription drug does need to be on the Medicare formulary.
So you have to be using covered. This is the same idea as medical, which is if you have a procedure, in order for it to be covered under the plan, you have to, one, be enrolled in a plan, and two, that procedure has to be on the plan for it to be covered by your maximum out of pocket or a copay, coinsurance, however you're going to be paying for it. The same holds true with the cap, the $2,000 cap. You have to be utilizing prescriptions on the formulary, and this is also true of the cap that was instituted a few years ago on insulin, correct? That $35 cap. You have to be on a plan. You have to be using an insulin that the plan has deemed under that $35 cap.
That's
correct?
Right. That's right. That's an excellent example. So it's essentially the exact same thing. If your plan covers an insulin, you will get that insulin at $35. If your plan does not cover an insulin, then that whatever you pay for the insulin would not go towards
would not be on that $35, and it wouldn't go towards
that max. That's right.
So that is very important. We actually had a call from one of our favorite callers last week talking about not only insulin, but those insulin replacement pills that people take in some cases, like Jardiance and things like that. It has to be on the formulary. If it's left the formulary for 2025, that is an absolute reason you want to either talk to your current Medicare coach or you want to call the Medicare coach, Frank, 314-863-0008. That is an absolute reason why you want to review your coverage this year.
Very good. So because of this Inflation Reduction Act and what's going on with Medicare, all of the insurance companies had to make changes and adjust their plans accordingly.
They have to contain cost in some way. Aetna essentially decided that they were going to roll their benefits back, not by 10 years, not by 15 years, just by 1 year. So if we go back to 2023, essentially Aetna has reverted its extra benefits to the 2023 level. So you gave up a year of extra benefit increases, but you got to maintain consistency over really multiple years at this point with, I like your terminology of core benefits. With the core benefits, they're staying almost the same, not identical.
Absolutely. So what's going on is a lot of these insurance companies now, because they have to make up cost from somewhere, is you're seeing higher max out-of-pockets on these plans.
Sure.
You're seeing drug deductibles added to plans that we've never seen a drug deductible on before.
Right, so sneak peek on that, United Healthcare's, I think every one of their plans has a prescription drug deductible included in it now.
The HMOs and the PPOs, that is correct. Now, typically the rule of thumb for those deductibles is you don't pay that deductible unless it's a tier 3, 4, or 5, which are going to be name brand drugs, tier 3 and 4, and then your tier 5 is going to be some sort of specialty tier.
So that is a great point. But when you see the prescription drug deductible and it makes your heart stop for a moment because you're like, I wasn't paying anything, now I have to pay. Please just double check, take a look at that annual notice of change and read what your deductible means. Many of the standalone prescription drug plans had prescription drug deductibles included in them. Many of them, like you said, Frank, always waive tier 1 and 2. A lot of these deductibles are going to waive tier 1 and 2. So if you are using medications on those 2 tiers, it's not going to impact you. But then I would also say, and tell me if you have seen this so far, Frank, is that if you're on a 3 or above tier and you have to flip to the deductible versus copays, you're probably going to end up paying a similar dollar amount over the course of the year than you were previously.
Yeah, it's going to sort of be a wash in that way, because some of the plans, and Aetna did this too, they switched to a percentage instead of a set amount for your prescription drug costs. So while one plan might have a deductible, $420 to $590, that's the type of deductible we're talking about. So we're not talking about, $100 or $200. We're talking anywhere from $490 to $590, $420 to $590. So for someone who may have a tier 3, they may end up paying that deductible first and in January. And so they go to pick up a prescription, and that prescription cost is going to be astronomically high. Aetna was able to, because again, they wanted to keep those core benefits strong, Aetna was able to not add a deductible to their plan, keep that maximum out of pocket to one of the lowest in any markets out there. So the max out of pocket only went up $100 for next year. It's $2,400 for this year, 2024, and then next year it's going to be 2025. So I think that's very important to point out that this is one of the least liable plans, one of the most economical plans for folks in any market.
We're not starting with any softballs this morning for you, Frank.
All right.
The cuts in Medicare Advantage perks that were heavily advertised is like a big bait and switch for us customers of Medicare Advantage. What do you say to that?
I think if we get you to come in, do an appointment, review the plans, put the plans side by side, Medicare Advantage plans and traditional plans, you will still see that these Medicare Advantage plans are still able to save you thousands and thousands of dollars across the board.
And I would say if you're a person that you see physicians that have contracted with multiple insurance companies, so they are in multiple networks. If you have prescriptions that are covered very similarly across multiple plans, meaning you're on Tier 1 and 2 medications, almost every Medicare Advantage plan is still covering Tier 1 and 2 at no extra charge to you. So we're being general right now. There may be some plans out there that do not. Also, a couple of plans out there that maybe you're charging $5. But if you're someone that has low usage, meaning you're not going to the doctor very often, needing services, you are using less expensive medications, below Tier 3, you may have the opportunity to say, as long as I already fit those two criteria across multiple plans, maybe you are a candidate to take a look at focusing on the extra benefits. For example, I know, and I don't want to front run you here too much, Frank, but if you're someone on that Aetna Gold plan and you're like, I did max out my dental and I'm going to max it out again next year, United Healthcare is going to offer double the dental, essentially. We want to make sure that your physicians and your prescriptions fit first, but you do have flexibility, and I think that is the value for anyone in any situation in working with someone like Frank, because not only can he look at every plan, he literally had to sit through training courses on the changes for every single plan. So if you have a specialized need, be it medical or not so medical, dental, vision, hearing, working with a professional is going to help you get the best outcome. Unfortunately, we can't control what the insurance companies do in terms of their benefit design. They like input from us, but we don't have any real power or ability to impact change there. But what we can do is help you continue to have your healthcare plan meet your healthcare needs. And the way that you can do that is just, give Frank a call, 314-863-0008, or you can send him an email, franklin@jblfinancial.com.
I just want to say that's a great point, Erin. Everyone's situation is different. We get folks that, they have a lot of medications, or folks that don't have any medications. You're completely healthy, and they can base a plan take a plan that's based more designed around what they need for those extra benefits. And then I've had a situation where, we did that with a client, and then over the course of a few years, as health started to change, we were able to adjust his plan, and
we have to refocus what
his needs are.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right. What do people do when they get notified by their Medicare Advantage plan that they are being dropped from the plan?
So you will get an open enrollment period to join a new plan, any new plan that's in your market.
And also, if they're letting you know that by December 31st of this year, the plan won't be available starting January 1st, your open enrollment is just going to be a little bit different than everyone else's, which is you're not comparing your current plan. You get to shop all over again.
That's right.
For what your best option is. We don't have to look at the old thing. It's not available anymore. Let's look at the new stuff. And I would say you want to get on the phone with the individual who you worked with, or you want to come in and see Frank and make that appointment sooner rather than later, because you absolutely have to make a decision. You have to make a change for January 1st, so that way you're going to be covered. But there is no medical underwriting, no hoops to jump through. You'll be able to make that transition very smoothly, but we want you to be a priority. So give us a call, or give your agent a call before their calendar fills up, because you are going to want to make a change.
I love all the questions this morning. Keep them coming.
All right. Can you repeat, Frank, the new dental amount and the new maximum out-of-pocket for the Aetna Gold Advantage plan this year?
Absolutely. So the MOOP, the maximum out-of-pocket, $2,500 for next year. It was $2,400 for 2024, so it only increased by $100. And I actually wanted to go over some other copays, but to answer the second part of that, the dental went from $3,250 to $2,000.
Okay, so we lost $1,200 of dental.
So one thing that I wanted to mention, if we still have a little bit of time.
We have 31 minutes of time almost for you, Frank. Let's do it.
All right. So I wanted to mention, how Aetna was able to keep those core benefits strong. We talked about the maximum out-of-pocket only increasing by $100.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at copays, we talk about our copays affordable. So I wanted to give a few examples of how Aetna was able to stay very competitive with their copays. So in 2024, your primary care physician was $0 and your specialist was $20. That is going to remain the same for 2025.
$20 for a specialist visit. That's fabulous because I'm seeing group health insurance plans. So before people retire, $75 and $95.
Yeah.
Oh, towards the deductible, and once you meet the deductible, then we'll cover it for you. So, and even these. The Gold Advantage plan used to have a $45 copay to the specialist.
That's right. So things have always improved.
Yes.
Under these plans. I'll give you an example of one that has increased, so that we can take a look at that too. Since I'm definitely fair and partial, inpatient hospital. That's a big one for some folks because that's the one where you're probably gonna come out of pocket and you're gonna feel it if you have to stay, 8 days, 9 days, however many days in the hospital.
That's a maximum out-of-pocket year in a lot of cases, unfortunately.
Absolutely. So inpatient hospital 2024, the enrollee paid days 1 through 8, $235 per day.
That's this year.
2024. 2025, it's days 1 through 8, $250. So a $15 per day for 8 days increase, which would put us at
$15 times 8 it's $120 increase, basically.
$120 increase for inpatient hospital, and that's days 1 through 8. Anything after day 9 is going to be covered.
Got you, at 100%.
At 100%.
Will you repeat the 1 through 8 again for me, for this year, the new number?
Days 1 through 8, $250 per day.
So $250 per day times 8, that's $2,000.
That's $2,000. You got 500 more to go to reach your max.
And
then you can go to the doctor unlimited from there.
Well, not only can you do that, but even let's say that you're someone that it's not New Year's that you have a little bit too much fun and, slip off the curb or something, end up in the hospital, but it's Valentine's Day. So you already spent a few dollars on the plan. In January. Then February rolls around and you have a little bit too much chocolate, or maybe your significant other poisons you. I don't know. You end up in the hospital.
Gosh,
right? You end up in the hospital. You've already spent $750 this year on the plan in the first month. It's not been the greatest year for you. You're still going to cap out. You're going to cap out before you get to the 8th day with Aetna, because you're going to spend up to the $2,500 and then you stop.
That's right.
If the hospital is the first thing you do in the year, you're going to spend $2,000 on the first 8 days. Then the payments for the days in the hospital stop until you exceed 100 days in the hospital.
That's right.
So these benefits work together with one another. There are protections for you, but I think Frank just made an excellent point, which is on some of the most expensive benefits, the stuff that's going to, like you said, Frank, you're going to feel this coming out of your pocket versus putting the $20 on the table just to cover the specialist visit.
Mm-hmm.
They only went up $120,
which isn't bad when you look at some of these other plans that I've seen.
Be much more. We're going to spend as much time on each insurance company as we are on Aetna, but because we know, we spent a lot of time on Aetna this year alone just because of the extra benefits that they added and how good the core benefits were. We wanted to kick the entire open enrollment or annual enrollment season off with Aetna. Frank, you made some really great notes, and then we'll get back into questions about some of the Aetna plans. Now, the Aetna Elite PPO, many of you have utilized that plan. It was the very first PPO with a $0 copay in the St. Louis market, so Missouri and Illinois. First $0 premium PPO.
I didn't know that.
Several years ago, very first one. It's morphed over time. It's become less popular. It's become less popular because, one, the HMO alleviated the referral requirement.
That's right.
But secondly, Aetna and many of the other plans started introducing other PPOs.
That's right.
Frank, you mentioned that for those individuals on the elite PPO, they might consider not switching even insurance companies, but just switching plans within Aetna, that Smart Fit PPO, which is new as of last year, I believe, or 2 years ago.
Yes, that was rolled out for this year, 2024.
Got you. So a brand new PPO might be a better fit for you.
Absolutely. So I think that Aetna basically made an upgrade PPO plan from that elite PPO.
Okay.
The elite PPO is still a very good plan for some folks, but the Aetna Smart Fit PPO is one of those plans that you definitely want to compare and take a look at side by side if you have any PPO plan.
So aside from the benefit differences, copays, maximum out of pocket with the elite PPO and the Smart Fit, is there a network difference between those plans that you've noticed?
So when you're looking at a PPO, you have in-network and you have out-of-network.
Okay.
So in most cases, doctors are going to accept and insure all of the insurance companies' plans. So your HMOs and your PPOs. Every now and then you'll find a doctor that maybe they accept, for instance, if United Healthcare has 17 different plans in the market, maybe they only accept 16 or 15 of those plans.
Got you.
So for the most part, they're going to accept all 17 in that market.
Okay, so that means if you're on the elite PPO and you've been on it a while, it's been a great plan, but now Aetna's released something that might fit better for you. So you might want to take a look. If you're on another PPO with another insurance company, this is a competitive PPO for the year. So this might be something to take a look at. Again, Frank can help you with almost everything you can purchase in the Missouri and Illinois market. We're just focusing this show on Aetna right now. So it is going to sound a little Aetna heavy today.
Yeah. But we will be discussing all the rest of them and comparing these plans side by side. One thing that I do want to point out, though, is with that PPO, it does have that out-of-network protection. So
if you want to travel, if you need to go to Case Western in Ohio, or you want to go, to a New York hospital, you're going to have access.
That's right. To those out-of-network markets.
We've got a comment. I'm disappointed that Aetna Gold is no longer offering the $1,200 fitness and no $200 per quarter copay card.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed too.
I am too. I mean, I get it. I do understand.
And those were great, cool additional benefits. I am very excited for individuals that are spending far more than $2,000 a year on their prescriptions. It really could be a backbreaker for some people. I'm really glad that has been added really at the government, at the Medicare level. So that means all of the plans have to follow it. And yes, that did put more pressure on the insurance companies, and they're not benevolent. They do have to. They make money, so they did have to make changes. And I'm sad that change forced these changes. But before we wrap up, Frank, I do have a question about the extra benefits with Aetna.
Yeah.
So they're kind of changing the way that they administer these plans, the extra benefits. Right? You're going to have one card for everything now. How does that work?
Yeah. So you're going to get one card for dental, vision, hearing. So don't throw that away once you get it in the mail. If you are going to just let your plan run over, expect these cards in the mail probably sometime in November or December. But you'll use that one card for everything.
So that means that you don't have to submit for reimbursements on the dental anymore. It's going to be on the card.
That's right.
That's really cool. So they are although they have had to make reductions to the benefits themselves, they are trying to make it easier for you to access the benefit, less labor intensive for you to receive the benefits. So that's really important. I think that's an important piece to point out as well.
Absolutely. And to our texter, I definitely do feel your pain, that fitness allowance, very exciting, that copay allowance, very exciting. But again, Aetna kept its core benefits strong because we need to focus on health first, and then those core benefit or those extra benefits second. Now, you always do have the option, of course, to take another plan that maybe has those higher dentals or higher vision and I can help you compare those plans.
Awesome. I think we're going to make Frank hang out for a few extra minutes.
All right.
We're going to take our first break of the hour. We have of this hour. We have a few more text questions on deck, but don't stop them coming. 84126 on the text line. Frank will hang out for as many questions as come in. We've got a few more to get back to, so if you haven't heard yours read yet, don't worry about it. We will be right back after these messages.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event. But did you know Worldwide Technology Raceway hosts fun seasonal events too?
Don't miss the Midnight Madness Fall Festival Drag Strip Party, October 11th and 12th.
The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to www.raceway.com.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back, everyone. We are in the thick of our annual enrollment portion of the show. You're going to get probably not as long every week, but we're going to take a significant chunk of the show to discuss our annual enrollment for everyone that is on Medicare. And if you're not, it's great to hear what your experience is going to be like on an annual basis. And with that, we have a lot of text questions, but I did want to let everyone know that, maybe you've worked with Frank in the past, maybe you've worked with myself in the distant past, and you are still working with us. Every year we send out an email that gives you some highlights as to Frank's thoughts, our thoughts, and the course of action we'd like you to take for annual enrollment. That email is going to go out today for everyone. I didn't send it out on October 1st. The plans were a little delayed in getting us all of the information. I wanted to be able to sit down with Frank and get his high-level thoughts on, if we've got clients on these specific plans, what the direction should be. So you're going to receive that email today. First part of November, so first week of November, we are going to be holding a webinar for our current clients to, basically, it's going to be a town hall. We'll call it Fire on Frank.
There we go. There we go.
Actually, that's what I think we're going to call it. Fire on Frank. I totally organically came up with that right now.
That's good.
To let everyone that maybe you haven't scheduled your appointment yet, maybe you're on the fence, maybe you don't really want to come in, but you also really want to hear about what's going on, or hear how other people are reacting to this news, the loss of the fitness benefit. If you're on Aetna, you'll be able to tune in, answer. Frank will be answering all of those questions. Unfortunately, it can't be as interactive as the show is, meaning we can't have call-ins, but we're going to have an email set up. I'm going to fire all those questions on Frank. He's going to answer them for you one by one. We're going to keep it to an hour, and in the email will be the link to that webinar. It's going to be exclusive for our current clients. Now, if you are someone that's a listener and you haven't met with Frank yet, but you want to hear more, let us know. Send us a message through the website, jblfinancial.com, in the Contact Us section, or send me an email, Erin@jblfinancial.com, and say, you might like a Medicare webinar from Frank. I'm not a client, though, and we might schedule another one before we get to the end of open enrollment. But we do want to give a lot of different touch points for for all of our current clients because we know there's a lot more changes this year than there have been in the past. So
Absolutely.
Can be a little shocking on the front end, but I think, Frank, you've met with how many? 5, 10, 50? You've met with over 20 people already since October 1st started.
Yeah.
And many of them have been Aetna clients. And tell us how it's gone so far.
Yeah. So a lot of folks are staying with Aetna. They see how important those core benefits are. I know we're only a week in. I've seen about 25-ish people, another 20 or so on the phone, another 15 or so through email. A lot of folks are with that Aetna plan. They see that those core benefits are important. They see that there is no extra deductibles, whether it's on the health side or whether it's on the prescription drug side, and it's working out for them. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right, here we go. I'm following along, and it concurs with my understanding except for the dental portion. Am I understanding in 2025 I will not have to pay for dental up front and submit for a reimbursement to Aetna, that I can provide my Aetna card and Aetna then pays the dentist? Is that correct? Yeah, because you're gonna have the dental benefits loaded onto the card for 2025.
Okay.
And so you give the dentist the card. Do you have to pay anything up front?
So you might still receive a bill. This is going to be a little bit confusing.
Okay.
Okay, because of the way that billing works with the dental aspect.
Okay.
So Aetna is having a PPO for their dental. It will be a PPO network. Even though you're in an HMO plan, it's going to be a dental PPO.
So they're going to have in-network dentists that will have a certain cost associated, and then you can still see your dentist even though it's not in-network necessarily. Frank can check that for you.
That's right.
And they'll have a different price.
That's correct.
Let's say you went for a cleaning and it was $300. You hand the receptionist your Aetna card, the extra benefits card. Do you pay them anything when you're there? How does it work?
So you shouldn't have to pay anything up front.
Okay.
But you still may receive a bill on the back end.
Okay.
So there's certain percentages that the plan is going to cover.
Got you.
Typically, you might be looking at around anywhere from like 30 to 50% of the coverage, just depending on if you're in network or out of network.
Okay.
So while the bulk of it may be covered, like you said, the $300, you still may see a little bit of billage on the back end for next year, just because of how they designed the plan. So the plan used to be a complete reimbursement plan, meaning you paid everything up front and you got everything reimbursed on the back end. Now these plans are acting more like a typical dental plan. It's still a dental allowance, but it's set up like an actual dental plan.
So that means you might receive a service that Aetna isn't covering at 100%. You still get all of the $2,000 worth of dental, but as opposed to literally everything you do being covered, so to speak, at 100% and just being reimbursed for that dollar for dollar, they've moved more towards like what you were used to at work, where 50% for minor, 25% for minor, 50% for major, those kind of things. So you may owe a little bit on the back end, but you don't have to pay anything up front.
That's correct.
How does Aetna's over-the-counter look this year? Now, the dollar amount decreased by half, right?
That's correct. So from $120 a quarter, because these are quarterly benefits, the over-the-counter specifically, to $60 a quarter.
But I heard, and I don't think it was a rumor because it was in writing,
that it's going to roll over?
Yes, I heard that was going to roll over. And then secondly, I heard that they have actually They heard Frank talking about this every week on the radio, that United's over-the-counter was more extensive in terms of options. I've heard that they're going to add options, add more things to buy in the over-the-counter benefit. So really what they've done here is a little clever, which is they gave you a little bit less money, but now you're going to have more things to buy, whereas last year they gave you more money and you had way less things to buy.
So it's funny because last year a lot of folks, and I've already gotten this through the several Aetna clients that I've already met with, but they'll tell me, $120 a quarter, like we had to really think outside of the box on how to spend that.
People were buying stuff just to donate to charity.
Just to donate to charity, yeah. So people were not disappointed that it's going down to 60 because they already have a hard time spending that 120.
And so does it really roll over if you don't use the 60 in the quarter? Do you get...
So I believe some of the insurance companies roll over, maybe not specifically Aetna, but I do believe that some of the insurance companies are over-the-counter are going to roll over for next year. So it's plan specific.
Can you still utilize all of the benefits on your current Aetna policy before the year is over? So, like, if you want to buy a bike on the fitness allowance, you can still do that, right? If you haven't spent your $1,200.
I think that's an actually great question because we still have new people enrolling into Medicare. So you might be on Medicare now. I may have just put you on Medicare 5 days ago to start October 1st. I may have put you on for next month and even the next month. So November and December.
Spend that money.
Spend it. You will get the full benefits. You're coming on in October, November, December. You're still going to get the full benefits of that plan's calendar year for 2024. And then it's got to start over for you in January.
Right. And another person asked, can I still join a one-year gym plan October 9th and submit to Aetna to get the reimbursement, get billed for the annual in October to pay that to get the reimbursement? Is that correct?
Yes, you can. You can. As long as it was for calendar year 2024, whenever you paid for it, then that will cover that fitness allowance.
And that's true of the dental, the vision, the hearing, the over-the-counter, the fitness allowance. All of these benefits don't roll over into the next year, but they don't stop until December 31st. So if you're newly on the plan and you haven't spent any money yet, you have homework. If you've got excess left because you haven't spent it all, Frank did a nice segment a couple of weeks ago about a lady he met with that hadn't used hardly any of her benefits. Get to work because, as you know, they're not guaranteed every year. You just found out, unfortunately, the fitness allowance is going away, and Frank covered a lot of the other specific changes to the Aetna Gold policy. Also gave us some really good thoughts on the on changing your plan. If you're on that elite PPO, maybe we're looking at the SmartFit PPO for the upcoming year. Frank, anything else to add for everyone? Final Aetna thoughts. I know we'll talk about Aetna again, but maybe not for a few weeks at this point.
So I wanted to just go back to that elite PPO because we talked about the fitness allowance a lot for 2025. That specific Aetna Gold plan, removing it. So they are keeping it on one of their plans.
The Elite PPO?
The Elite PPO. The Elite PPO. Or excuse me, it's the SmartFit PPO.
So the SmartFit PPO, the one we think is the new best PPO for Aetna.
Yes.
So Aetna's preferred PPO, in our opinion. It's going to have a fitness allowance.
It will, and that will be $90 a quarter.
Okay, so they moved to a quarterly allowance, not annual, so you got to be a little sparing in terms of how you're breaking it up, but they are going to offer it on one plan. It's that SmartFit PPO, so if you are devastated that the Gold Advantage lost the fitness allowance, if you're okay with a higher maximum out of pocket, okay with higher co-pays, most likely your physicians will fit in because there's a lot of overlap between, but obviously have Frank or your professional check before you make the change. That's like we said when someone mentioned the bait and switch. It is a little, hey, if you join the Gold Advantage and you thought it was going to stay the same forever, unfortunately, I could see how you feel a little bait and switched, but work with someone like Frank and maybe he can navigate through the system for you to keep the benefits that you really enjoyed and still maintain the core benefits. I wonder if we can trademark that and call it the core benefits of your Medicare. Thank you so much, Frank.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to send you off to relax because you only have like less than 48 hours before you're back at it 9 to 5 again with meeting after meeting.
Oh, we'll be calling people today here shortly. So.
Oh my goodness, you're going to get weekend calls from Frank. Don't be alarmed. We didn't chain him to his desk.
That's right. I'll be working from home, calling some people. But last point I want to make real quick is that Aetna, while they did get rid of some of those benefits, this is still one of the most superior plans on the market. If you want to shop that plan and put it up against every other plan. I created a magnificent spreadsheet that I've done for the last 3 years, and we can just put that spreadsheet side by side and go through each line and look at their copays, look at their extra benefits, and just line them up one by one. And if you'd like to make the change, call me. If you don't make the change, everything will just roll over for you.
Great final point. If you decide you want to stay where you are, you do nothing. And you stay where you are. Aetna or whomever you happen to be with is going to send you your new card in the mail before the end of the year. But Frank is here, and it's all about you with us. So if it's time for you to make a change, give Frank a call, 314-863-0008. Leave a message. Kelly will give you a call back, get you on the schedule with Frank. Send him an email directly, franklin@jblfinancial.com. Let him know what you want to chat about in advance, and he maybe can do the work on the front end for you before you either come in or have that phone call with him. So thank you, Frank.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time this morning, and I know everyone you're about to call really appreciates you spending Saturday doing that. So we will see you next week, and please, everyone else, hang on through the break because we've got a few more minutes to wrap up before Mizzou pregame starts.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Lang. Join me for Animal Talk every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 on the Big 550 KTRS, the Animal Talk of St. Louis.
The Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill invites you to come in and enjoy phenomenal food, drinks, and service. Try the incredible tender mouth-watering steak sandwich, the best Reuben egg rolls in town, or their fried pretzel sticks with Guinness beer cheese sauce. Daily drink and beer specials, adult trivia Mondays, music bingo on Tuesdays, NFL Sunday ticket, and the MLS package on one of their 8 TVs or their 150-inch big screen. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 1-ish a.m. 21 and older after 6 p.m. The Irish Gypsy Bar and Grill, 1250 Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Check them out online at theirishgypsybar.com.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at Erin@JBLFinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. We've got about 2 minutes left to answer your calls and questions at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And our first texter writes, which Aetna plan allows the fitness allowance? And that would be the Aetna PPO Smart Fit.
Right, I let the cat out of the bag. Smart Fit PPO, it's Smart Fit, so you've got the fitness benefit in there still. It's altered, though. It's $90 a quarter versus an annual amount. Dad, can I buy golf clubs with the Aetna Gold this year?
Been there and did it.
All right, we have verification. You can buy golf clubs, and they will be reimbursed. We've already seen a reimbursement for the golf clubs.
Multiple reimbursements. They also have reimbursed me for greens fees.
Greens fees. So
very, very cool. Next texter writes, can I still get a Fitbit through my Aetna account and get reimbursed before 12/31/24? Yes.
As long as you haven't spent the whole fitness allowance yet.
Exactly. Important caveat. You want to, if you have money, it's use it or lose it.
That's right. And you know what? We've got just a few seconds left. Does this mean Aetna Gold, you have to reach the $2,000 deductible if you take a higher tier drug like Lipitor before they start paying anything, or do you pay the lower copay until you reach $2,000? There is no prescription drug deductible on the Aetna Gold policy. The $2,000 is a cap, so you still get the benefit of copays all the way until the $2,000 cap. This is supposed to help people that are really on those tier 4 and 5 medications that we're ending ending up in the donut hole. So you get it's just simplifying your prescription drug coverage through Medicare. No, you're going to pay co-pays with the Aetna policy all the way up till you hit the $2,000, and then you are done. And unfortunately, we too are done. So don't forget to give us a call if you'd like a coaching session, 314-863-0008.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.
Let's go. This is the Big 550.
At the gym and in the car. Every morning on my drive to work.
KTRS St. Louis. Nationally known, locally owned.
Get in the game and closer to the action. Come wager on all your favorite pro and college football teams all season long at FanDuel Sportsbook and Horse Racing in Collinsville, Illinois. Baseball playoffs, pro hockey, and NBA will be here before you know it. Come watch all the action on more than 25 large-screen televisions, relax at the abundance of theater-style seating, and enjoy ice-cold beverages all season long. At FanDuel Sportsbook